Hey, before we get started, Mark, would you lead us in a word of prayer?
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity we have to gather together to research the curriculum for our Bible classes. We pray that as we do so, that we'll make the correct decisions that will most benefit our children. In Jesus' name, amen.
Um, Most of you know I'm not Jimmy. Jimmy's over this, okay? Jimmy's out of town. He can't be here, so I kind of got here by default, okay? So, but anyhow, I'll do what I know about this, and then I'm going to turn it over to some other people who know a whole lot more about it than I do, okay? Of course, you know, over the years, the past years, we've used lots of different material in our Bible classes. Some of it pretty good, some of it not so good, okay? And we're just wanting to improve on that, okay? For something in the future, we're wanting to improve, make some better decisions here. And we've had some ladies to do some research. They've done a good job at it. I know some of our young men here that's teaching, they was involved with it a little bit too, looking over some of it. But what they have done, they have narrowed it down to just a couple, okay? Which has made the decision a whole lot easier for us if we're interested in this, of choosing a new material. Now, I know it's not the church's responsibility, prime responsibility, to teach our kids. That's the role of the parents at home, the fathers at home. That's what the Bible teaches. And hopefully we're doing that. But the church can supplement. And I think that's what we try to do here. We try to supplement all ages here to try to teach, everybody here. Give them an opportunity to learn God's Word. But if you've had an opportunity to teach, you've noticed in some of our classes, we are weak on some things. Some of our kids are weak. We've got some very smart kids, and we don't want them to slip through our hands at all. Very intelligent kids. We just want to be sure we get the stuff out there to them, some material out there to them. And I know they can absorb it, and I know it'll be very helpful, beneficial to them. But not only to them, but even to us, those that will be teaching, those that will be involved with this new stuff here. I think all of us will learn great things. But it's going to take some effort on all of our parts to make this happen if we want it to happen. And but appreciate so much all of you who were interested who have come. I was hoping maybe more than this would be here. But we thank you who have come. Even though maybe you don't want to teach or get involved with teaching, maybe you can help out with just setting up some resources to make the teaching lessons and materials and some of the stuff that they got to do, some lamination that may need done with some of the material and stuff, okay, be helpful. Somebody's got to help with the resources to this. But we have a couple of people here that's experienced with this material, the two that has been chosen. Darren and Kelly Huffman Hunter's parents from Lubeck up near Parkersburg. And they have taught this one material, and they're going to share with us some of the experience they've had with it. It might be helpful with us. And then also Clinton and Amy have taught the other. So we have people here with experience with both material, and they're going to try to explain it to us the best they can. So if you have any questions, feel free. There's nothing formal about this. Ask them. They're going to throw it out there to us, expose us to it. And like I said, nothing has to be made tonight. No decisions have to be made tonight, but start thinking about it so that we might go from here on a positive note. And we're going to be held responsible, and we just want to be sure we get it right. Okay? So I'm going to turn it over to Clinton, and we'll go from there.
Good. I'm just going to be very brief because my wife has prepared a lot of stuff to say, and I know the Huffmans have too. The biggest thing that I want to say is that I know the curriculum that we used, and at least I know a little bit about the Shaping Hearts for God that you're going to bring. Both of them, and at least one or two others, they do a better job of addressing the text than a lot of what it happens to be in our curriculums. And whichever route we go is immaterial. I think the thing is that whatever we do, it focuses more on the Word of God, and that we do our best in relaying the Word of God. And that's the thing that I see most often being deficient in what I call the canned Bible school curriculums. And there's going to be a lot of things that you're going to find out if you're not familiar with any of these specifically. There'll be a lot of benefits that you maybe didn't even think of that can happen by these curriculums. So I don't want to take any more time because I know the Huffmans have some things prepared to say, and I know Amy does. I worked with the congregation that did the curriculum, but Amy actually taught it. I taught the adult Bible class. And in fact, the church that we did this with, I didn't actually teach the auditorium class all that often. So Amy has a lot more experience teaching and what have you than I do, but I do know a fair amount of what goes on. So I'm going to yield my time to the Huffmans first because they've come a ways for us, and we'll let them speak, and then we'll let Amy take over. So.
Kelly, right here is all that they said.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna let Hunter go ahead and throw the pictures up there first, because that, I think, explains a lot. I just went through our classrooms and took some pictures. Am I in your way if I'm sitting there? Okay.
Have to do the band
Yes.
to the street.
The one thing I like about this is I'm not creative. I am not creative at all. And what they do in the teacher's manual, which I took the wrong one, it lists and gives ideas of bulletin boards, your doors. So like, you'll see one of these, we did this. Right now, we're doing, how they say it, loving hearts and working hands. So that's what we're in right now, we're talking about solidation. And, so, we're teaching the kids that we have to, God looks at what's inside our hearts. He doesn't look on the outside, he looks what is inside our hearts. And that we need to be at work for God, even when they're little. And so that's what one of the bulletin boards will show that in our room. But that's what I like about this. It gives me ideas of what to do, because like I said, I am not creative. We have some people that just run with this. We have a couple artists in our congregation, and they are wonderful. And you'll see, this is our first and second grade room. Yvonne is my co-teacher. What you do on Sunday morning is you teach the lesson. And then on Wednesday night, you go over the lesson, but then you add things. You add Bible facts, you add maps, and you'll see the maps here in a minute. And I'll talk about those a little bit more. But you actually go over the same lesson each Sunday and Wednesday. But Wednesday is building onto it more with Bible facts and things like that. Go back. But that was our bulletin board, or that was our door, and like we didn't like the heart that came in it, so one of our girls just drew one for us. But there's a heart that comes in with your material. It's all in there. The gloves were in there, and then we just added to it. Okay? Go ahead. Now this is the 4 and 5-year-olds. So kids that work for God. And that's all included, like the hard hat and things like that. That's all included in there. So you don't have to make it. It's there for you. We laminate everything. We do have a laminator so that we can use the material over and over again. And then I thought this was really cute. It's what's inside that counts. And they make little x-rays. So, and then there's their memory work. I like the maps. Little ones, that's the 4 or 5-year-olds. They get to the point, you get a map, one is got everything on it. All the cities, everything. Then you get a blank one. By the time your 13 weeks is over, 12 weeks are over, they can go up there without the printed one. Tell you where Egypt is. Tell you where the Nile River is. Even the 4 and 5-year-olds can do this. That's what I liked about it. This is another room. I think that's the same room. And they just used what was in the material to make their door. And then Splat, I've said my memory verse. 4 and 5-year-olds can say their memory verse with this material. You have 4 weeks, you have 3 memory verses for the 12 weeks. You have 4 weeks on each memory verse. And by the end, if you say your memory verse for the first 4 weeks, you get a hand. And I'll show you in our room when we get there. This is our room. Put your hands to work for God. Yvonne will use those gloves and put Bible facts in them. And then the kids have to go up there and learn their Bible facts. And then go on. And then there's our maps. They love them. And you can download a blank map, and they can create their own. They can color it how they want to, and then they put their cities exactly where they're supposed to be. And then it's something for them to take home. And you have those maps in every series of lessons. I love those, because if you'd see the kids do those, it's amazing what they learn. And it helps you, because I'm still, okay, they're talking about zigzag, where's that at? Well, with the maps, I'm beginning to retain it too, you know. It's just things that we've never really taken the time to learn. Well, when you teach it, you gotta learn it. And then the timelines. I love the timeline. We have them in all the classrooms. And like this morning, we had a little bit of extra time. I said, go find on the timeline. And then that child goes and finds that on the timeline and stands there. It gets them interactive with it. Oh, sorry. But anyway, those are in all of our classrooms. It's a cost to start out, but then after that, you have them. Just more of the timeline.
The Divided Kingdom has both the kingdoms in the time.
Yeah.
Come around, it's just one line, but when you get to the divided kingdom, you got Judah at the top and Israel at the bottom.
Yeah.
Parallel to the vice versa.
Yeah, parallel.
It'll tell you if they're a good king or a bad king.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what the next one is. Oh, more of the timeline. Like I said, the maps and the timelines sold this material for me. We use those in every classroom. That's something that we either put into the lesson somehow or as a review at the end. But we're always using the timelines and the maps. Go ahead. There's our memory verses. So what I did is I put all 3 memory verses up there. And our second lesson, all my kids knew their memory verse. Second lesson, they knew the memory verse. Now this was a couple, 3 weeks ago. Everybody's learned their second memory verse except one. And he's just being stubborn. He knows it, but he's just being stubborn.
It's real easy to figure out what parents work for kids.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. And there's a sheet that's the parents' guide that goes home, and they have daily Bible reading with their parents. So that's supposed to be done at home. And when they come in, I have one little guy. He has a speech impediment, but he can tell you the entire lesson. I say, Teddy, what's going on? And he can start at the beginning and finish it because his parents work with him. And then those are the visuals. Each set of lessons come with visuals to help you tell the story if you want them, you know. And then this is the teenage class, as you see. You know, there's less involvement with all the work when the kids are getting older. But you use the same material, it's just kind of beefed up for the older kids.
there's like three or four different age groups in the workbooks.
Yeah, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Kids.
And then that's our 3rd and 5th grade, which is a huge class. And That's their door. And then, like I said, we have artists among us. That's our preacher's wife, Rhonda Knotgrass. That's her handiwork. She made that and polishing the pulpit, actually, in one of the classes. And then if you'll scroll on, that's Dagon. It gives you a little, you could knock him down, like, put it on blocks and knock him down. And then she made, that pattern is in our book. So she blew it up and actually made the ark for the older kids to get in, you know. So you take the lesson in whatever class that you're teaching, you teach it for that class. And then on Sunday, they have their workbook, but on Wednesday night, you have a book that just will have worksheets. It's in my bag. I'll show that to you. You just run copies of it. You have one book, and you just make copies for your class. And we usually buy one for each class room, but then we have them for the next cycle. Like I told Pam, the only thing I didn't like was that we didn't start from the beginning. We kind of started in the middle. And then our deacon in charge of education wants us in Old Testament, New Testament, Old Testament. So he's switching us back and forth, where I would like to have seen it from the beginning to the end so you could do the whole timeline. But I understand his point of view. It'd be 2 years. It's not until the third year that you're in the New Testament.
That was a concern we had when we were looking through the material, but through the samples that we looked at, it looked like they didn't neglect Jesus.
No, they
built
don't.
something to Jesus.
Yeah. That's the theme throughout the whole thing, and all of our kids can tell you this. If you ask them what the Bible's about, the theme for these sets of lesson is Jesus is coming, Jesus is here, and Jesus is coming again. That's what you teach from the word go with this material, is that the Bible is all about Jesus and what he has done for us. So even the Bible facts, even if you're in the Old Testament, it'll take you to the New Testament to work in your Bible facts. I think that's it. But, Darren thought this was really cute. In the third and to fifth grade, there's their prayer board. And they list,
They do that at the beginning of each class.
and then that's what they pray for, which I thought that was cute too. I think that's it.
Couple questions.
Yep.
Okay, so like on the sheet that I gave everybody, I just listed these, so this material, Shaping Hearts, is 3 years.
Yes.
Yeah, and then you'll see the quarters per year listed there, so what's covered in each quarter
Right.
in that top part.
So year one, you would go through Genesis through Ruth. Year two is 1 Samuel to Song of Solomon, and then you're in the New Testament. But the books, the Bible facts, and I brought several. This is our memory verses. We put those on the cut sheets, and then it suggests that you hide them through the room before your students get there, and then they've got to put it together as a team, put the memory verse together. They love that. The kids love it. Today I turned everything upside down on the table, and then they had to pick one, and then we had to wait until everybody got, and then you put it in those we got at the teacher's resource. We have a teacher's resource store, and so the elders invested that money, but they just stand. And then the other one, one of the teachers bought one for the books. You can send the books home. I've always taught the littler ones, so I didn't feel comfortable sending the books home. I wanted them there each Sunday. But what I do is I just make a copy of their parents' page. This is why you're supposed to send those home for this. This is their daily Bible reading. You send it home on Wednesday, and then they're supposed to read. But I just make copies of this. Huh? Okay.
I know this material used the NIV.
It does.
So how, have you all adapted that? Are your Bibles in the
Well,
building?
I did the first time, the first go-round, and then I took about, I don't know, a year. We got an influx of new teachers, and I said, let them teach. And if you need me, I'm here, but I let them teach. And when I went back to it, just to make it less confusing, I just kept memory verses. But I read from my New King James Bible.
So, but if they fill in, is there anything in the workbook's like if they fill in or those?
It's all from the workbook,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah. But like I said, what sold me was the timelines and the maps. The maps are, I never thought little ones would enjoy maps so much, but they do. And like in this book, this is my map, they actually have a map in the back. And then see, working hard on Bible facts. Each lesson has Bible facts, but you add to it. So it's pretty much you're teaching from the book, but you add to it, which it makes it nice.
I normally get middle school, high school class. I'm not a teacher, so they stick me in on Wednesday night for reviews. What normally happens, the older kids, whoever teaches on Sunday makes them read all the scriptures for that week during class. And then they teach the lesson. And then Wednesday night, I make them read all the scriptures as well. The last quarter I taught, the whole quarter was on the book of Acts. So in 13 weeks, the kids read the entire book of Acts twice. And then had lessons that built off of that. And I got through it 3 times. I got through it twice myself because I was reading it at home. So the kids get lots and lots of scriptures out of this material.
Do your adults follow the same curriculum?
No,
Okay.
no, they, I think we're in Proverbs. Oh, and Robert Knotgrass is our minister, and he's doing miracles from the Bible on Wednesday. So no, we don't follow it.
And they don't have an adult, I don't think they have an adult curriculum that goes with it.
No. And the 2 and 3-year-olds is like a class in a box, and I've never taught from it, but it has a lot of flip charts and things like that. And basic repetition, which is how you teach that. Any questions? I know that I was pretty fast, but
Now,
sorry, Dan.
you say it's 2 years Old Testament, 1 year New Testament, and then you start back over? Okay.
Yeah, 3-year cycle. Yeah, it's a 3-year cycle.
So then by the time the kids are in the next, starting over at year 1 again, they're in an older age group, where
Yes.
they're getting it a little deeper.
Yeah, the
Yes.
kids, yeah.
Yeah,
There's like 3 or 4 different levels of these books.
Right.
As they get older, the material gets changed somewhat, maybe some cover ways.
yeah, like,
Yeah, we've got a complete set that they sent us to review up here. too.
okay,
So-
this is level 2, which was, I'm teaching the 1st and 2nd grade. And then there's level 3. Is there a level 4? So your take-home sheets are a little bit tougher.
You and Hunter looked at the older kids' material one. This one
together, we do the book together. Then we go to the Bible. And it tells you which scriptures to point out. But then they should have already read with their parents what you're gonna talk about, because it's just not what's in the book. There's that pulls from the scriptures that you had that week. Does that make sense?
So how do you kind of bring up the kids who maybe didn't get to work at home? Kind of, how do you kind of keep them up with the other ones?
They're like little sponges. You tell them one time, and what I do is I review. Like I have flashcards, and I'll flash up David. Tell me 3 facts about David, and I'll point to somebody. Or King Saul, tell me 3 facts. And I make everybody has to participate.
Yeah, if you ever get done with your lesson early, you can always do those kind of reviews.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
you're not just filling time.
No,
You're
I start
teaching.
the class usually with the memory verse. We work on it. Yvonne doesn't work on the memory verse as much as what we do. And then I do a review, and I usually review 4 lessons at a time until we get to the end, and then I start throwing questions from the whole. When I did creation, my 4 and 5-year-olds could tell you everything. I just wanted to take a video in there and just play it. I didn't have to say anything. They all knew it. We do the review, then we do the lesson, then we read from the Bible. And then at that point, if you have time, sometimes we have time, sometimes we don't. Then we do the Bible, or the math reviews and timeline.
So the good thing is, if you have a child that's not there Sunday or Wednesday, hopefully they've caught it
They've caught it.
on one of the,
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
time or the other.
Yeah. Because we have a lot that come on Sunday that we never see again.
So
until
this-
next Sunday.
This will last 3 years. How are you all keeping your materials? Is each teacher doing this, or do you have a room
No,
set up
we
where
have
you're?
a resource room,
Okay,
and then we turn everything back in, and they have tubs for,
okay. So that at the end of 3 years, the
It's all
only
still
thing you
there.
have to buy at the end of 3 years is your workbook.
as your workbooks. Yeah. Yeah.
One of the complaints I had when we were using the same material, and it kind of follows the same thing where you've got 3 years of the same lessons and it repeats every so often, was by the time I got to like the middle school and high school, it felt like it was just, extraneously repetitious.
Yeah.
Do you see some of your older kids having that same thing, or is this one a little bit
Yeah,
written
they
better to
repeated
different
it.
age
We're
levels?
just now getting.
Yeah, we
just
haven't,
finished up the
we
first
haven't
grade.
repeated it, anything. Like I said, we started, let me see that paper. We started with, we've done God's Mighty Hand, All Things Made New, and the Lord's Army. We actually had, that one was cool. I wish I had had pictures of that. They decorated the rooms really. Yeah. We've done the Stop, Look, and Listen, and the Gospel is for All. I think we must have started with All Things Made New. We started in Genesis. And then, like I said, he wanted to go to the New Testament, and we went to Stop, Look, and Listen. So that's the way he's done, our deacon in charge of education has done. Because he didn't want him to be out of the New Testament
Okay.
for 2 years. All right? Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Well, leave me here.
Well, I apologize, I didn't know if we were gonna be in here or not, so I did not do a PowerPoint. I was going to, but, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
Try to use the pulpit.
There's your chance, you're good on the front row.
That's right.
All those
Time
times,
to repent now.
all those times you said things about you.
That's right, that's right. I just wanted to say that, kind of one of the reasons that a lot of these curriculums that we have searched out, the reasons that we picked them was because if you ever get, there are a lot of forums, if any of you are internet people, there are Church of Christ Bible class teacher forums, and there's different places you can go to get help, and ideas and things. But whenever somebody goes looking for new curriculum, we don't feel like our curriculum's meaty enough or whatever, there's a handful of them that always come right back up to the top. They're the cream of the crop. And this one, Shaping Hearts for God, is one of them. Bible Study Guide for All Ages that we're going to look at is one of them. There's a few others, and I had firsthand experience with a couple of them. But what we found when we were looking at these, when we opened the box for this, I was really excited about this, but you can't, if you haven't ever used it, you don't really know what all's involved. Like all the stuff you just showed us, that was wonderful. We had no idea. And we didn't feel like we could give something a fair shake without actually talking to somebody who had used it. And it's hard to just look in a box and figure out if material's going to be good or not, is what I'm trying to say. So that's kind of how we got to this place. There were a couple other curriculums we looked at that are wonderful too. Maybe down the line we can use them. But we were trying to do what would work here, what we thought, different congregations are different sizes and they have more resources or they have more teachers or less teachers. So that's kind of how we got to where we are. One of the things that a lot of these curriculums have done, and I will talk about this if I have time, I'll go into more detail later. I know Pam wanted me to talk about the teacher prep class that we did. A couple of different curriculums we did. We did a teacher prep class, and I can talk about that if I get through all this. But basically, a lot of these, I think, from what I'm hearing from Kelly, is that are you using the same teacher on Sunday and Wednesday?
No.
Okay, you're not. But you're using the same materials?
Same
Okay.
material.
All right, well, I know several of them, they do use, and we can come back to that. That sounds overwhelming, it's really not, but we'll come back to that. But one of the things about this curriculum is everybody from, and I want to point this out real quick too. Pam has ordered a 2s and 3s curriculum that's totally separate from these, and it's very good. So we're not really kind of talking about 2s and 3s in Cradle Roll today. This is just basically like the 4 and 5s on up through adult. So this curriculum is for 4 and 5s all the way up through adults. They're studying the same thing. We're kind of in the same boat. You're basically teaching your lesson on Sunday morning. You're reviewing it on Wednesday night. This curriculum actually was written to be used a different lesson, on 2 different lessons, Sunday and Wednesday. But the congregation where we used it thought that was too much. And so instead of being a 4-year curriculum, it became an 8-year curriculum. But it goes through the Bible. I wanted to, what was that here?
And the kind of the sequence it goes through,
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna talk
part of
about.
this sheet.
I'm not used to having this microphone up here. I'm gonna make a lot of noise. This is, it's 4 units of study. I think most of you have a sheet where you can see where we're going, but this page is actually in the binder, and it tells about how there's some Old Testament and some New Testament lessons studied each year, so that we have an opportunity to study from different parts of the Bible and not get bogged down in one or the other, and see how the Bible fits together. Let's see here real quick. Like, I'm going to show you all the different classes here in a minute, but like Kelly said, there's several things that are one-time costs. This curriculum has a timeline as well. There's a beginner's timeline, and both of these curriculums have good websites, so if you want to go look at them in more detail, you can look them up. This is actually a beginner timeline. We hadn't opened it because we don't know if we're sending them back, but you can see there's little pictures, and it's made more on the level of the beginners, like the kindergarten, 3 and 4s. And then we have, for each classroom, you can get the wall maps and the timelines, and then you get the little notebooks that, I don't know how well y'all can see this, but there's instructions on how to use everything, and there's,
Dane's putting stuff on the wall.
oh, okay, yeah. But and I think there's actually some videos from some different classes on their website you can look at. But basically, you cut these out, and there's instructions, like I said, in here. But you basically cut them out, you laminate them so that they last, and then they have little pockets for you to keep them in. And when, you'll notice when I'm showing you the, stuff for the classes, there's instructions on what things to put, like each week it'll say, put this on the timeline, and also you can let the kids kind of, as Kelly was saying, you can let them take them off and put them back up so that, you know, it's kind of another review, they can take them up and down. But I wanted to kind of walk you through, I know Kristen likes these.
Yeah, those are awesome.
We had
Like,
just,
really
we had
cool.
actually,
Well, yeah. We don't want to set.
we had actually just, and like I said, whatever we use, even if we don't get this curriculum, you could get pieces of it if you wanted to get it. But these are Bible book summary cards. There's one for each book of the Bible, and it has a summary of the book, and then it has questions to ask. So these are great, you know, especially on Wednesday night when you're doing reviews and stuff. If you have some extra time, that's a good thing to work in. Those were really neat. We had just gotten those right about the time we left. So there's I think 4. We got primary. Primary has they just added this since I've taught this. It used to just have, I think primary is the new one. What we learned was there was beginner pages, and then there was intermediate and advanced. The beginner pages covered too wide a range of kids, and so some of the kids, it was too easy for them. So now they have a primary. This is, I'll just write this down for a second. Somewhere. Beginner is the 3 through kindergarten, primary is 1st and 2nd, intermediate's 3rd and 4th, advanced is 5th and 6th, and then high school and adult, they use strictly, the teacher uses this notebook to compose his lessons, and I'll go through that real quick. Some of this is going to seem a little overwhelming at first, but it's really not once you have it, and if you, once we get into it. But anyway, there's pages for each level. This is an example of the primary. Like I said, everybody's doing the same lessons, but it's on different levels. So you'll see that there's maps in their lessons, and there's different things. But the beginners have, actually have these visuals that go with theirs. And your story is on the back. You color them in and make them real colorful for them. And just for, I want to kind of tell you what each class did. Typical, I was in 4 and 5. It sounds like we're in the same age. We couldn't get promoted. In a 4 and 5-year-old class on Sunday morning, I would not give them their paper. I would go through the whole story first, and we did add more than what was on here a lot of times. I would go through their story, and then I would give them their papers, because their papers have the same exact, on the front, they have the same exact layout on it. And so I would go back through while they were coloring, and there's some things that asks you to do on each picture. And so we would go back through, so they got the story a second time. And then we did other memory work. We had some memory work. But then on Wednesday night, I turned over, not my beginners. See, they had the same pictures, just smaller. That's a different lesson. But the back had the application, and I saved that for Wednesday night. So they kept their papers in the classroom, and we did the application. There's some singing, there's some questions for review. There's a lot of reviewing. We go back over things over and over. But every level has its own set of pages. The notebooks, there's a lot of stuff in the notebooks. Like I say, it's kind of overwhelming when you first get it. But every teacher we bought one of these for every teacher. This is if you do 2 lessons a week, this is 1 year's worth of teacher's material. If you do it the way we did it, this covered 2 years. And then once we had these, that congregation bought one for every teacher. So like after you got all 4 of them, they were yours, and you didn't have to buy them again. let's see, I'm just trying to think. Like I said, there's there's a lot of good instructions on how to use the pages. If you just have to, and then we did a class where we, I don't know, this is so.
There's a lot.
There is a lot, I know, it's good stuff, it's just hard to, without showing you guys, but, and this, I had to borrow this because they forgot to mail this to me, so it fell out of my room. But basically, we had a teacher prep class. The way it worked was, we got our teachers, we tried to get like about a year's worth of teachers at a time. And if I know our quarters aren't this way, but if I'm teaching in March, April, and June, or April and May, sorry. I'm teaching in March, April, May. So in January, on Sunday morning, I'm in the adult Bible class in here. And they're covering this material, so I'm getting this material. On Wednesday night, I'm in a teacher prep class. All the teachers that are teaching the next quarter are in a teacher prep class. And what we're doing is we're going over all the lessons for next quarter. That allows us to make sure that everybody understands the text in the Bible. Each lesson has a text it goes through. It has review questions. It has things for the maps. It has things for the timelines. It has drills. And so in the teacher prep class, we're making sure everybody's on the same page. If I say, how in the world am I going to explain this concept to a 4- and 5-year-old? We can give each other ideas. It's just kind of it's a good resource. But it also allows us, we're getting our materials ready, so when my quarter starts in March, my lessons are all done. So I've already got everything ready and I'm prepared. And so then in the quarter I'm teaching, I'm in the classroom Sunday and Wednesday. But then the next quarter, I'm not teaching at all. So I'm teaching a quarter and I'm off a quarter. So that's kind of the way it works. And like I said, that's a lot of information. But anyway, there's a lot of different things. There's some study helps in here, and I can leave these up here for y'all to look at. There's drills in here. They're all reproducible, and you can use them however you want. There's some extra visuals in the back. So there's a lot in here. Like I said, it's if you're using it, you kind of have to sit down together, and it seems overwhelming right now, but it's really not that bad. Trying to think what else I need to tell them about this stuff.
Well,
Oh, I wanted to go, like I said, from all the way up to, fifth and sixth grade has the student pages. We cover this together as teachers in our teacher prep class. And then when we go teach it, we use the student pages for all the way up through sixth grade. High school and adult, the teachers are basically just teaching out of this. And also it allows us, a lot of times the high school and the adult class did this on Sunday morning, but they did something totally different on Wednesday night. So that frees you up, high school, if you want to talk about what they're dealing with, issues they're dealing with, you can kind of go away from this on Wednesday night and do something totally different. Same with the adults. Some of the things we really liked about everybody being in the same lesson, it allowed families to know where each other was. And so a lot of times I know we would read with our kids like on Saturday night or sometime during the week. You could either read last week's lesson again, or you could read where they were going to be and have them prepared for the next day. It was kind of neat also because when everybody's in the same place, the preachers can kind of work. Sometimes they'll know where we are, and so they'll work things into their sermons sometimes to kind of reinforce something we're teaching. The other thing that's kind of neat is if you don't even have kids in class in here, for instance, I don't have my kids here, so I can walk up to Whitney's kids or somebody else's kids and say, did you guys study about Noah today? And I know what they studied, and I can ask them some questions and kind of use something to kind of reach out to the kids, other kids, and I just think it's kind of neat to bring the different age groups together. If you got grandkids in a class, you know what they're studying, so maybe through the week you can say, what was that Bible study you did Sunday? But anyway, so it's really good for, yes, you're going to be next, aren't you? So anyway, it's really good for that because everybody's in the same thing. So like I said, there's a lot there, and I don't know if I did half a good job of explaining it. What did you want to say, Clint?
well, you covered what I was going to say, but the curriculum you do could be done that way too. If with the high school and with the
Right.
adults. I could definitely see that. For instance, like say, my sermon this morning is the fruit of the Spirit. It was on joy. the sermon, I mean, the Bible class was on Saul and David, then I'd have made a point, made an extra effort to have found one of David's Psalms on joy. There just wasn't time to cover it, but I'd have made sure it gotten to one if I known that was a Bible class important. So that's a way to reinforce what's there because of that, because it's really beneficial as a preacher to know what the kids are learning in class. I have no idea what our kids are studying in class.
One other thing I wanted to say too was, this was something that we put in each quarter. They made up a sheet of, this was for teacher prep, so these were the lessons we were working on for the next quarter. Every lesson had a memory verse. Now in 4 and 5s, I would pick maybe 4 of these, and I would work with them through that whole quarter. But our elders there had also given each age group some memory goals. For instance, 2 and 3-year-olds had the Apostles and the Days of Creation. 4 and 5 had those, plus the books of the Old and New, Fruit of the Spirit, and Genesis 1:1, and it went up. Every grade level had more. So for instance, with the 4 and 5s, not only was I each quarter giving them these 4 memory verses, and like Kelly said, the main thing I want y'all to get out of this, no matter what you pick, is you will be amazed with the kids. They are sponges, and you'll be amazed what they can learn. Because they had been in this curriculum a while, we had to add stuff to the 4 and 5-year-olds list. They had done because they did a lot of it in 2 and 3s. They already knew their books of the Bible. They already knew all this stuff, so we had to add some more. We added the plagues and the commandments, and so they were really sponges. And so anyway, that was just kind of one of the things that we did. The elders added the memory work for each age group to make sure that they were learning some pretty basic Bible things. So that was another thing that we did. And like I said, I mean, I could talk all day about the stuff we did in each class and each age group, but just try not to get too far in the nuts and bolts of it, because I just want to give you an overview. But for instance, in the 4 and 5s, we had I'm not creative either, like Kelly. I can copy stuff really good. I Pinterest, other teachers I can get ideas from. But one of our teachers that taught the other quarter from me, she had made little ice cream cones on the wall out of paper, obviously. And there was an ice cream scoop for each of those things. So when they got the books of the Old and New Testament, they got an ice cream scoop. So by the time they left the class, they had the other memory word, but by the time they left the class, they'd have a whole big ice cream cone, and when they got to the top, we put sprinkles on it with glitter for them. They liked that kind of stuff, and it motivated them. But those things were in addition to the regular memory work. So there's just, I mean, like I said, we could give you all kind of ideas that way, but I just wanted you to have the kind of overview of what the curriculum was about, and the fact that it does, like I said, it goes back and forth between the Old and the New Testament, and you can see, you can also see that in you guys have those lists, so, was there something else you want to say?
Yeah, probably, now, both of you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. The only thing that's a little harder, that takes a little more effort for the teachers, is coming up with your visual aids. But understand, there's ways of going around that. For instance, we had a group of college students that were coming in right at the time we started this other curriculum, another curriculum we're not even talking about, but it's one we needed to do, your visual aids, engraving heavenly truths, if you've heard of it. But what we did was we had a week of college students, so they were on a mission trip, and so we handed them, hey, we need all these posters made, we need all these billboards, bulletin boards made. We've got Whitney, but she's over where Liz, she's an art teacher. But we can have teenagers, we can have people that maybe don't want to teach, but they can color with the best of them. And so you can get your visual aids done by multiplying efforts. If there's anything that seems just a little intimidating out of it, it's that. But there are ways around that we can multiply our efforts and get people to help us in a lot of ways. So that's the only thing that may seem a little daunting, but you can deal with that. So.
Really, your timeline and your maps are
Yes.
part of your visual aids, though.
Right.
And then I know the material, the shaping hearts, it has
extra memory work, like that wasn't in the curriculum, the ones that the elders set aside, there was a couple boards that were always, we had the apostles strung from the ceiling, and we had, so some of that memory work, like the days of creation, that was always on the wall, because that was stuff we were always working on with each new crop that came in for the 2 years they were in there. So it kind of cut down on how much we had to do, we just had to add stuff that went with the quarter we were working on. And each class had that, like I said, and obviously the older kids, you know, they actually would open the Bible and read the stories themselves. You know, we tried to make it 4 and 5-year-old level, but we did make sure our Bible was open and let them know, you know, these are coming from the Bible. But anyway, that's kind of the gist of it. And they're like Pam said, there's some startup costs. Like I said, the notebooks, once you have them, you've got them. Once you have your timelines, you've got them. So basically, it's your student pages that you're having to buy when you start back over again, just like with the other one. And there's also, like I said, the pages, and there's little teacher manuals that come with the pages too. Like this is actually a manual that goes along, and it tells you different things about like when to put stuff on the timeline during your lesson and stuff. And it also suggests songs for you to sing, and there's a CD of all the songs if you don't know them. So, I think it's just one CD. So 2 CD set. But, so if you don't know the songs, you can learn them.
So teaching, explain how the teachers, I mean, you're teaching Sunday and Wednesday for a whole quarter?
Yes.
And then what did you say in the off quarters? What are you doing?
Sunday
If you're a
morning, I'm in the adult Bible class. And then on Wednesday night, I'm in my teacher prep class, which I'm basically learning, because the next quarter, I'm not going to be in the adult Bible class to get the material that you're covering. The lessons that you're covering, I'm going to miss because I'm teaching. But I'm getting them because we're studying them the quarter ahead of time to teach them to the kids.
So we have to have someone to teach that class?
Yes. Yeah, we generally had, well, we did it in a couple of different congregations with a couple of different curriculums. I think Clint taught it one place, and then the elders were rotating, teaching it in another place, so, but yeah, you have to have somebody to teach that, so.
I really like that idea.
Well, yeah, the main thing is, the biggest thing about it is whether you do that or not is how, like I said, this, for instance, this would be, if we're doing it just one lesson a week, right here, this is 2 quarters worth of lessons. Up to 13 is one. So I would give you this for next quarter. This is next quarter stuff. And you would already be looking at this, you would already be putting your lesson together. You'd already have this. You'd be coloring your visuals, whatever you had. So the main thing is that you know who's teaching, and you're able to prepare a quarter ahead of time, so you're not just scrambling around at the last minute looking for teachers. Because I think the kids need to know that the classes are a priority and that learning the Bible is a priority. You know, schoolwork is important, but so is their Bible class work. So, because that's eternal, so.
That's valid with that being, you know, a working mom. I have to prepare stuff
Right.
for my own classes at school.
Right.
And so if I'm doing this ahead of time, I don't feel like I'm being so overwhelmed where I'm trying to get stuff done for school, because I gotta make sure I'm putting enough time into that.
Right.
You know, maybe you only have a week to do it ahead of time if you don't do these classes.
Right.
So that makes me feel like I'm gonna be better prepared,
Right.
you know.
I think whichever material you use, you could do the same
can still do
concept.
that, that's
I
right.
mean, I think.
And,
Yes.
and to me, that's invaluable, is
Yeah.
learning the content
Right. Ahead of time.
on an adult level.
Right.
And that everybody's on the same page. Yeah.
Because,
I have to agree with you. When we first started this was overwhelming.
yes,
I couldn't get it. We had the people that wrote it come
Right.
into a
Thank
class
you. That's
for
where I
us.
was
Yeah, that was
I was-
And, I was just sitting there going, how is this gonna work? But then once you get the material.
once you get your
and you
hands in it, yeah,
And you get your teacher's manual,
right,
and you get your teacher's manual, then it all clicks.
yeah. And I know these two and several others, they do come out and do a workshop if you want them to. That, again, that's something the others have to decide, because I'm sure there's cost involved, but, and they could probably, like I said, I was in the 4 and 5s, I think I taught but they would probably be able to give a better, overview of how the whole thing works and what they recommend, because they're the ones that wrote it, they know how it works best. So,
I know you all had the group that did shaping, they came in and did a teacher prep. Yeah.
we had one group come in when we did engraving Heavenly Truths,
And they gave us little, tips,
Yeah.
some suggestions on how to use the material. But like I said, it was overwhelming because we didn't have the material
Right.
in front of us.
Right.
And then when you got your material, it was like, oh, yeah, okay, now this makes sense.
And I think I talked with the people for the study guide for all ages, and they will come and do a teacher training too.
Yes, they will.
I think their cost was like 500 plus travel, but that was
Right.
just,
um,
and I don't know what shaping heart is. I didn't get a hold of anybody there, I just was inquiring.
yes.
I have a question. Are we saying that we don't like the material we're using now?
I'm not saying that. I just know that a lot of times these come out of, a lot of times the type that we're using, it's two different curriculums, well, Sunday and Wednesday, and sometimes they jump around, sometimes they, you're doing the same stories over and over, Jonah, Noah.
I'm not asking,
No.
I'm asking the teachers.
Yeah.
Are we saying we don't like the material we're using now or not? And I'm gonna tell you why. I like my that I have on Sunday morning, the book that I have, what I use. My students seem to like it. We very seldom get done with the lesson. We have backs. It moves along pretty good. I know Jane teaches, say, what do you think about that book?
I think,
I'm teaching the reason I mentioned that was, the group that I have in there now, 4 young men, most of the time. They're all Christians, okay? They basically, 3 out of the 4 of them have went through, been here since they were carried here. I think if you give them something on Sunday, and then give them the same thing on Wednesday, they're gonna say, we just went over.
what age are you teaching?
I'm teaching 6 through 8.
Okay, well, they're not gonna do that. Yeah, seventh and up would not do that. No, they would be in the same place on Sunday morning so that their families, would all be in the same place. But then Wednesday evening, that's what I'm saying, because with the younger kids, it is a lot of repetition. That's how they learn, and you review and you go over. But with the older ones, you're not tied to that. For instance, the adults, they're not gonna do this Sunday and Wednesday. They're gonna do it Sunday, we're all gonna be in, and on a deeper level, obviously, than the 4 or 5-year-olds. But then on Wednesday night, they can do something totally, whatever stage, they're doing Hebrews or whatever they're doing. So, and a lot of it has come out of, generally over the years, if any of you have been raised in the church, maybe your experience wasn't this way, but I hear this a lot from people. You learn a lot of these stories, but you don't have a concept of how it all fits together, how the Bible fits together, how the timeline is. And that's what a lot of these are good at doing. They're showing you how the Bible all fits together and what the timeline is from the time you're down here, so that you have a grasp when you leave home, you know your Bible.
Well, I just stepped aside a minute, so I didn't hear exactly what I said, but, the study we did in the auditorium, the big picture, was one of the best things I've ever been a part of. And the reason is because the families were working together and studying together and doing the lessons together. And the curriculum that Amy's talking about, and if we did it the way that we could with the Shaping Hearts for God, is that the family can work together to prepare it. Delane is right on. The family has a responsibility, but the best we can do to help our families be equipped to do it by giving them the text, by giving them the opportunity, the better it's going to be. So if we help our families do that, then it's all the better. And, it can be a great bonding thing for the congregation for us to all go through that together. And it can have some great benefits for, our education overall. I mean, just, we can know that works good. discussed it, but one of the things too, you teach Sunday and Wednesday, but you do get every other quarter off, which is really beneficial. And that way, it doesn't require any more teachers because of that. Some of you, I've almost never seen you in the auditorium class. So I know you're teaching all the time. Well, this way you'd be able to be in there in the auditorium some, which would probably benefit you. And so,
I think there's a benefit to the students too. You have the same teacher Sunday, Wednesday.
There's a continuity.
There's a continuity you carry through.
it's easier for substitute teachers because everybody knows. You know, I may not be in the, like say for instance, you know, it's Amy's quarter off and she's team teaching with Pam, and Pam's got to be out of town. Well, because everybody in the building's doing the same curriculum, you know what lesson it is, what they just studied or whatever. You maybe haven't had the time to prepare quite like you might like to, but at least you know what they're studying. You know that they're, you know, for instance, they're studying Saul and David. So you know where you're going to be and you know what's going on. So you can plug in substitute teachers so you don't just open the book and say, oh, what are we studying today? At least you have an idea. And that's really beneficial.
I was totally, as a teacher, it's nice to have everybody on the same page. There's a reason that our principal fights to not get rid of one of our plannings, because all of third grade has common planning, all of second grade, they meet and they are all on the same page, teaching the same thing. And I like the idea that the adults are doing what the kids are doing, because we can all be working together. We all know what's going on, we can all discuss it, everybody is all on the same page. And I know how well that works in the school. It has got to work well with this too. It has to. The parents and kids being able to talk about the same stuff and know what everybody's learning. I really like the idea of that.
I want to go back to Tom's question there for a minute because, I mean, I've been teaching 4s and 5s in 1st and 2nd grade here the last couple of years. And the material, well, Lauren and I have taught together a couple times, but, and so one time she'd have Sunday and I'd have Wednesday night, and we'd end up covering some of the same stories the same quarter. Or the next quarter, there'd be the same stories that we just taught.
Kids even notice that. I didn't even know, but the kids will even say,
Yeah.
oh, I remember that one, and I want them to remember, but not that familiarly. You know what I mean? They should remember every detail.
Yeah, it might be.
I know, like, I've been seeing a couple of things that just, they don't relate at all, like, to the lessons. They're just very random and sporadic or anything.
They're shallow. That's how I want to say, if there's any application, it's very shallow. And of course, you know, we should be able to take it and make it what it needs to be, but you're paying a lot of money for material.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Our current quarter, half the curriculum we bought for our current quarter is still sitting on the bench back there. So there's some waste there. There's a lot of money in
Well, I know
this.
I went on Wednesday evenings when I was teaching the 2s and 3s. Half of the kids, the girls that I had back then, all ended up being girls, they were upper 3s into 4, and the stuff was geared for 18 months, and there were no workbooks, so then I went online, I tried to do this twice, I went online to find lessons online, and did my own too, and didn't even use it, just so they could have some hands-on stuff, because there was nothing for them to do. It was too young for that. So I ended up having to do that 2 times I taught on Wednesday, 2 different, quarters, which is fine, but I mean, like you said, it's a waste of material then, because I couldn't use it, you're too young for that.
Well, listen, we are getting close here. We better wrap this up here for tonight. We'll have some more meetings about this. This is enough to give Jimmy a good taste after he reviews it. I don't know, he may want to resign. I don't know.
Well, the
But,
intent isn't to start this in December.
Right. This is something down the road. That's right. It's going to take some time if we're interested in it, but, you know, it's so hard. It's so hard to get material that's good and accurate to the Bible, you know, something that teaches Bible facts, and it's so important to get good curriculum. It sounds like this is pretty good stuff, both of it. But if we decide to go that way, then, you know, I think we've got something we could build on. Tom?
I'd like to say one thing, because there's several more younger teachers here. The group that I've got back here, 7th and 8th grade, somebody's taught them a lot of stuff. Because they'll come up with questions, and I'll just say to myself, wow. Now, some
Yeah.
somebody taught them something along the way. So I'm going to commend those people that are down there in these lower grades teaching. It's harder down there.
Yeah, it is, it is.
Because of making up materials and finding stuff. I know where Pam and them are coming from.
Right.
I didn't want to throw a cog in the works.
Right, right.
But I think it's easier with the, the seventh, the eighth, and maybe even the.
Hey, the adults are the easiest people to live with.
Absolutely, yeah.
But-
You do, I know. You couldn't be doing that.
But also, Tom, in the same sense too, you teach some of these classes though, I understand you give those people credit, but you still see a lot of weakness and holes in it, because you ask them to look up a book, they don't know whether it's in the Old or New Testament. And you know what I mean, so we've got some holes in it, okay? And you know, there's nothing wrong with trying to improve with what we got. I'm not condemning anybody for the efforts that's been put out there, because there's been a lot of good teaching done here, don't get me wrong. A lot of good teaching over the years, okay? But we can improve on it. Yeah, right.
What does the Bible say, that kind of stuff. They're barraged today with a lot of stuff we would ever barrage.
That's why it's good for, because they can do something totally different that pertains to what they're dealing with at school, so, yeah, they're not tied to this.
So, yeah, good input. Thank everybody for coming and being part of this tonight. Okay, we'll meet again. It's just something to start thinking about, okay? All right. Thank